Hello and welcome back. If you just watched the first tutorial or if you're just trying to get into the game and figure out what's going on, this video is going to be Hand of the Gods going into a game. So we're going to take a look at the play button on the very beginning and you'll see some various things right here. So training, this is going to have the tutorial and versus AI where you can practice decks, maybe see how they're going to go. We have the arena, which I will get into in a little bit. Ranked, which is going to just be the same thing as a casual queue where it matches you up against opponent, but you try to climb the rank. Obviously, as you can see, I'm at the very bottom because I don't typically play ranked, and casual is just going to put you up against another opponent and you'll go and be able to kind of play against them. Arena is a special queue, which is going to be one of those ones. You come in, you have to purchase entry either with runes, with favor, or if right now I believe I have a free ticket to go into the arena, and you draft a deck. So it shows you 3 cards, you choose 1 card and it puts it into your deck, and so on and so forth until you have all 25. Then you go up against other arena players to try and fight your way to the top, and you get rewards based on how well you do. Going into it, you get, I think, all of your favor back if you find 3 wins, but if you lose 3 times, that's going to be the end of your run. So your goal is to win as many times without losing as possible. For this video, I'm just going to be going into a casual, and I'm going to be playing one of my few decks that I have here. I say few, I have 7, and I think I'm going to go ahead and opt into playing my raw deck just because it's a little bit slower pace and allows me to kind of showcase some of the game. So we're going to go ahead and get into the queue, and once this is done, I'll be cutting right back into the video to talk to you.
Today I fight not for Olympus, but for myself.
So as you can see here, we have the intros being played. Now I have Ra, I have a nice little bit of a skin going on there, and I'm up against the Zeus, which is one of the, I want to say, weaker pantheons right now. Zeus is very, very dependent on getting gods out and being able to combo those together. And so as you can see, I actually have a very good hand for being able to kind of deal with this. He's going to say good luck. I'm going to go ahead and return that to him, actually. I'm going to have to choose my hand first. So as you can see, I have Last Breath, poison up to 2 random enemy units. They die at the start of your next turn, which means they still have 1 turn to interact. Khepri has a Warcry, dealing 1 damage to all of the units and then healing all friendlies for 1. Sobek, whenever a friendly is healed, gain +1/+1, and then Execute allows you to kill an enemy. The reason I want to keep Last Breath and Execute here is because I know that Zeus is very centered on getting gods out, and those will allow me to kind of keep control of his board. I'm going to be keeping the Sobek and the Khepri here because Sobek, his passive coming into this, is very good with a Khepri. Whenever a friendly is healed, gain +1/+1, and he heals all friendlies after damaging everything for 1. He heals your friendlies back up for 1. So the more cards you have out to combo with the Khepri Sobek, it kind of buffs this Sobek up to almost insurmountable amount. But getting right into it, we see Zeus has played a ranged unit. So ranged units do have the ability to hit you from further away because they are ranged. But to make up for this, they have less movement on the board. So if I click, you can see where he can move, and this is kind of a very good showcase. If you click on an enemy unit or one of your own, it will show you where exactly they can go. Now, you don't get to see where they can attack from where they move, but you will see, let's say if I put Sobek right here, that he is within range of this archer being able to move and attack and hit him, and that's going to be signified by the exclamation point above the archer. And if I put him towards the back, you see that he can't hit him, but if I put him right here in the middle back, he's still going to be attackable. So I'm going to throw him in one of these bottom corners, and I'm going to go ahead and end my turn right there. One of the other things about this game going into the early turns is going to be the mana potion. So if you are the person who goes second, you gain a mana potion to kind of maybe make up for some of the deficit that you're going to have coming into the game. And it gives you some playability. As you can see, next turn, if I really wanted to, I could mana potion and play Khepri. And it kind of depends on what exactly we see Zeus do here. One other thing to go over while we have a little bit of a lull is going to be your UI in the game. So if you look up here, you'll see exactly what's happened in the past game. If you see each pantheon has a leader ability. As you can see, each Pantheon has a leader ability. With Ra, it's going to be restore 1 health to all friendlies in column. Zeus is give a friendly god +1/+1, and each Pantheon has one that's unique to that Pantheon. Down here in the bottom right, you'll see your mana. There's signified by the crystal. 3 out of 3, so I have 3 total mana, and I have all of that mana left to use. And then down here, you'll see your current deck count, which mine is at 19, his is at 20. And if you click on this little magnifying glass, you'll see the cards that are still in your deck, which is sorted, looks like downward. No, not really sorted by anything. And the ones that are in your hand as well, in play. And if there's another one, you'll see in graveyard. And you can also see in play or in graveyard for your opponent here. And so just to kind of show that, I'm going to kill off this Brontus. He's actually very big. As you can see, Brontus gains +1/+1 whenever a friendly god enters the battlefield. And since Zeus is built around gods, you want to get rid of him fast. That also allows me to come down here and show you in his graveyard is now that Brontus. I'm going to go ahead and end my turn here and let this Zeus decide what he wants to play on. So there's a lot of playabilities. The reason it's nice to see what's in your graveyard that's added recently in a patch is that it will allow you as a whole to be able to manipulate your graveyard. There are some Pantheons that have cards that allow you to pull from your graveyard. Ra is one of them.
Now to find a soulmate,
where you can see what your chances are of getting a certain card and maybe getting a certain unit. Now, you may have been wondering why exactly this Zeus hasn't been attacking with this Archer. This is one of those things that we do see sometimes in competitive play coming into it. It's just one of those weird opportunities that it's only Ra you never really want to do this against, because Ra, like I said, he can restore 1 health to all friendlies in a column, as well as use all of these other cards that he has, like a Khepri, to be able to gain a lot of health. Or a lot of healing and buff this Sobek. As long as this Sobek is alive, this Zeus is a little bit scared to go ahead and attack me. Now I have 2 options here, with 2 enemies, both of them being ranged. One's a 2/2 with Protect 1, so he essentially has 3 health I have to deal with. The other one's a 2/4. That's relatively hard to deal with just because I don't have 4 damage on the board. I can either do my last breath, which is going to poison both of them, and end up killing them next turn, but I think I'm going to go ahead and lay down my On Her. On Her here allows you to stop your opponent from using war cries. So what this Aphrodite just did was a war cry, which means now, while On Her is on the board, you cannot play cards like Aphrodite and have them be useful to you. So she won't be able to give Protect 1 away. She won't be able to do anything with that. So On Her, one of those cards that is one you'll see typically played in the back line of the board over here, just to try and keep things alive and safe. And as you can see, he is ranged, but because of where he is at the Summoning Stone, he can only move to certain spots on the board, whereas Sobek can move a little bit further than him all around. Now, for anyone wondering, the board is a 5x8 board all across the board. As it comes down, we'll see finally having an answer to my Sobek right there is going to be the big one, I think, for this Zeus right here. Although he's going to be a little upset because I am going to go ahead, poison both of these enemies. That does take up all of, pretty much all of my mana, which is going to cause me to just go ahead and end this turn. I don't have anything to deal with him, and I don't really want to attack with my On Her because I don't want to risk losing him. Although if he moves, he can actually get rid of them, and I probably misplayed there, but overall it's one of those, I don't have a lot of places I can go with him that will keep him alive, and this is where Zeus has to decide if he wants to kill the On Her while he has a unit that can do it, or if he wants to go and hit my Summoning Stone to try and get a little bit more damage down there because he got rid of my Sobek.
Goodbye, my Menit.
One thing in this game, other players that don't get to see that often and does apply, is the ability to body block. Now, range units are a little bit harder to showcase this with, but hopefully he'll play a melee unit just like that. Actually playing the Chaos Spawn, that one's going to be a little rough because he did silence an enemy, and silencing an enemy is really, really strong in this game. That says, hey, I play that Sobek, now all of a sudden any buffs that he gets as well as his own passive gets completely taken off the board by this Chaos Spawn, but playing it without me having anyone on the board means the Chaos Spawn can't do anything. And it would have been nice to be able to play this, but On Her is a direct counter to that war cry, so he wasn't able to do anything with it. But now he has 2 melee bodies on the board, and I can kind of showcase this. So right now, this Chaos Spawn can run right up to my Summoning Stone, and the same thing can be said of this White Tiger, right up to adjacent to my Summoning Stone and being able to attack it. But I can place a body right here in front of my summoning stone, which stops this unit from progressing that far. So you can actually take up the spaces that they are allowed to move and make them play around you instead of having them play just kind of aggressively and being able to take advantage of the board. The same thing goes the other way, though. My behemoth here, my war behemoth, will not be able to get up to his summoning stone. It has to go through these units first before I can get there. Now, the war behemoth is a card that's run relatively often, although it might change with the way some of these patches have been going, just because when it takes units, when it takes damage, you get to draw a card, which allows you to kind of get through your deck a little bit better, get some of the stronger cards out there. And for anyone who might be watching this and wondering what my decks are, I am still running decks kind of based off the last Pantheon or the last update coming into it. So I don't necessarily have the new hot decks coming into this one. So coming into it, I'm already at a 6 health deficit to his summoning stone. I haven't dealt any damage to it, and he's dealt mine. As you can hear Bellini in the background there barking. You can see Ares here, Warcry, pull an enemy to you and stun him. So he pulled me forward and stunned my War Behemoth, so I can't do anything with him this turn. And I kind of have a choice to be made here as to what I want to do. I kind of want to get rid of this White Tiger because it just gets tankier as time goes on, so I'm going to go ahead and kill that one. And I have 4 mana left, which means that I can use my Capri, get a little bit of damage thrown down on to everything Zeus has out, as well as proc a card draw from my own unit, and then heal everything back up. But I kind of want to do that in tandem with my Sobek. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw Sobek down back here again, like I did earlier. This is the second Sobek I have, the last Sobek I have. And I'm actually going to use Raw Heal on my Summoning Stone to buff that Sobek to a 2/4 to make him a little bit harder to kill. I'm going to apologize for the squeaking that you might hear in this video. I do have a little puppy, and it's kind of hard. He's actually going to use Deicide there, so as you saw, is kill an enemy god, essentially kind of like my Execute, except that one only affects gods, so it's a little bit cheaper. It's 1 mana cheaper to use, whereas my Execute kills anything that I might want it to. And one of those things might end up being an Ares here, as he's getting relatively aggressive. The glorious thing about the way my War Behemoth was positioned is that we don't have a good position for this Ares to run straight at my Summoning Stone. But he will kill off my unit, and now he's going to be able to discover a god. So this is kind of the menu you'd expect if you see a discover, but since he's the one who discovered it, I can't see what he picks. So I just see card backs while he chooses, and it gives me time to mull over what I want to do for my next turn. So that Ares is becoming a relatively big threat, and I think he's a big enough threat that I either want to use this Blade Master that has 4 attack to kill him, but that's going to be 7 total mana to use out of my 8, versus 5, which I think I'm going to use my Execute. Just go ahead and kill off that Ares as an 8/4. He's getting big, and I do not personally want to deal with that. And I have the ability, I can Mana Potion and Kepri if I want, but I kind of want to save him for a little bit later. I know I've been holding on to him for a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop my heal in my turn and see what it can do. What my idea is that when I have 9 mana next turn, I could potentially throw down now my Thoth in a good position to kind of kill off some units, and then use my Capri to be able to get some kills as well as damage down. And actually, I know the perfect position to do this. So these imps are going to die when I play this Capri, so I don't have to worry about where I position Thoth to be able to hit them, and he hits everything on his row. So if I play him right here in the middle, I'd like to play him where this Chaos Spawn is, but it's being blocked perfectly right there. But I play this, that puts him right there in the middle. And then I play the Capri, and I can play him kind of wherever I want. And it's going to proc his Warcry, and then the heal is going to do a lot for this Thoth, which is going to go ahead and deal a lot of damage down to that Fire Giant. And now, while he might be able to kill my Thoth next turn, by might, I mean he will, I at least got a lot of utility, and I got board clear out of it. So now everything's going to be kind of back in my favor, although it's going to be a little rough here coming into this just because I know that Fire Giant is going to be walking down just to get this kill. So Heavenly Agility is giving him extra mana each turn, although at this point it doesn't matter. We're at the getting to the cornerstone, the cap here for everyone. He's at 10 out of 10. I'm almost at 10 out of 10. And he still has 1 more card than me overall in his deck, just because I had that War Behemoth and that proc pulled 1 before he would pull 1. So he's going to look at trading out. Fire Giant is a relatively useful card to have because it does spawn those fire imps like you saw last turn, but it's also a 5/8 when it initially spawns, which is one of the big things. It looks like he's going to pull my Thoth to open up my Summoning Stone. I think he's going to swing for it, or is he going to attack the Khepri? He's actually going to go to kill the Khepri, and that's going to leave him at 2 health, which is actually pretty good for me because this opens me up to potentially being able to kill him off, and depending on how I play this, kill off that Ares as well. The problem is that I do not have the ability to move my Thoth right now, but who needs to move your Thoth when you can just draw another Thoth? And I have a Geb, so I can actually... How do I want to play this one is the big question. So 2 damage from this Thoth and 2 damage from this Thoth would deal 4 overall to this Ares, but I don't have the ability to kill him. 2 damage from this Thoth would put him at 4, and then 2 damage to this guy would kill him off and leave him all alone. And I can get that off with the Warcry from Geb, giving me some healing. It gives me +3, which I'd throw either onto a Thoth or a Summoning Stone. I'm not entirely sure where I want that yet. And I think I'm actually going to go ahead and throw one here to hit the Fire Giant. And since I have 10 mana now, I can play both of these. I'm going to play the Geb right here. And I think I'm going to put that healing... I'm going to put that onto this Thoth. It's going to count as healing. I'm going to kill off the Fire Giant. And it removes the CC from this, so I can actually move this Thoth away and get an extra hit down onto this Ares. Now, he's still strong. He's still a 7/1, which can kill my Geb. But no matter what he does, he has to trade out here. Now, going into this next turn, I expect to see Ares hit me somewhere. It's either going to kill off my Geb or do a lot of damage to this Thoth. Thoth is a little bit higher priority as a target because of that passive, and because I'm raw, that that damage is going to be coming off a lot more because I'm going to have heals all over the place. And he's going to give this Ares +1. It's going to be just enough that they're going to be able to trade out. Luckily, I do have that second Thoth, and I do have a Book of the Dead in my hand, which allows me to get him back here relatively soon, just to hover over that. 3 random gods from either graveyard under your control. So if I kind of go look, I see in mine I have 2 Sobex, 1 on her, 1 Khepri, 1 Thoth, so not necessarily the best. And when you start to look at the gods in his as well, I don't have as much chance to really come forward with this and get the damage that I might want. Now, I do have the ability to play Annihilation. It deals 4 damage to everything, but right now that just doesn't feel like the best possible move. So I have a couple options to kind of go into this. Geb, I can move forward to kill this ranged unit, which is not a bad move, or I can move him back to get a double heal right here. So I'm going to take him 1 step back. I'm going to use this, which restores it in a column, as you remember. It gives him health, and it gets 2 procs off of my Thoth, which then allows me to come into this. I have 8 mana. And I think what I'm going to do, in some cases you could play this. The charge allows him to attack immediately. You could play the Blade Master and get the damage down and kill off Terra, but this would trade out. What I can instead do is get that damage down onto his Summoning Stone and force him to have to fight me. Now, this is probably the big decision for this guy. I don't know what is in his hand right now, but he has a 6/2 on the board, which next turn will die no matter what because of my passive from Thoth. I will be healing. And he has a 4/6 sitting at his Summoning Stone. Now, depending on how he wants to play this, he could kill off that 4/6 with the Terra, trade them, and then come into this maybe hoping for a little bit better. And it looks like he's trying to figure out where he wants to go and what he wants to get rid of. Geb is not a very high priority target, but he could go face. He could attack my Summoning Stone. But it looks like he's going to get Geb, which is still going to trade out the Terra, but he's still going to come down, deal 4 damage to all units that are not gods, which is going to hit my Blade Master pretty hard because he's not a god. But he's still alive. Now, this is where you get to see some of the trouble. He had to leave it alive. If he had traded Terra out there, this 4 damage wouldn't be there. I'd still have 3 damage from Geb to be able to get to the Summoning Stone eventually, but he decided it just was not worth it. Now, Thoth's passive does not proc onto Summoning Stone, So I won't be able to hit that as well. But what I can do here is use this nifty little fire giant. And I'm going to spawn him down here for a specific reason, which I'll discuss right now with these fire amps when they come up. First, you get the cool animation. Then there's 2 spots open right here, which, when spawning the fire ants, allows them to go up and directly attack this summoning stone. And so that allows me to get a little bit more damage down. I'm actually going to move my Blade Master down now. So next turn, my fire giant will be able to come up right here, and I'll have 2, 4, 9, 13 damage total on the board. And I still have enough for a heal, so I'm going to go ahead and throw the heal down, I think, onto my Blade Master, just to keep him alive. My summoning stone's not really in a threatening position right now. I mean, 15 health isn't good, but it's still nice. I have lethal on the board, and this guy said good game, which I'm assuming means he recognizes I have lethal on the board. And he's going to go ahead and surrender because he just has nothing to answer that, and that's kind of the longevity that you see out of Ra. But those are some of the basics that you'll see, some of the basic gameplay that I had, trying to just kind of explain things going forward with this game. And you'll also get I want to say a decent experience out of this, as well as if you watch the last video, you'll know a little bit more what to expect, because this game I didn't go over things like Warcry, I didn't go over Discover as much, but I did go over that in the last video. I kind of discussed it. You got to see some of those effects here this time, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you are happy with it, and hopefully you're trying out Hand of the Gods. I personally really like it. I started casting it now that I'm working at Hi-Rez, and it is so fun to watch the turnarounds that you can have from these players. Sometimes it's RNG, just believing in the heart of the cards, being able to give you something nice, and sometimes it is just pure on skill. The players playing and expecting some of the worst case scenarios and being able to kind of predict that. So hopefully you enjoyed it, guys. Sorry again for Bellini in the background. I know she's been playing around and barking a little bit. But if you enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a like, come up, get into the comment section, tell me how you're enjoying the game, what you like, what you don't like maybe, and I'll see if maybe I can pass that message along. But till then, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.